This is a call for vengeance. Welcome to today's show. Michael Obama, Big Mike, is at it again. And Big Mike, the headlines are telling us, at least Big Mike's telling us in the headlines, that Big Mike is terrified about what could possibly happen in the 2024 election. Or what it should really read is, Big Mike is terrified about what Big Mike and the cabal are going to be doing come time for the 2024 fake election, because that's about the time period that everything's going to deliberately hit the fan. Of course, Big Mike's not really terrified. Big Mike knows exactly what's going to happen. I mean, Big Mike was just showing us the script of, the script that Big Mike and Barack Obama, happened to be involved in writing, or at least, in manufacturing, or giving cliff notes on, because they know exactly how things are going to play out, just like the movie Leave the World Behind, which they gave cliff notes on. So they know what's coming in 2024, and Big Mike says that they're terrified, up at night over. Well, Big Mike, I'm up at night too, terrified over what you've done to our world, you and the devil, who you worship and all your followers worship, what you've done to our society. But I want to play this clip for you from Big Mike, talking not just about how terrified Big Mike is of what's going to happen. I don't know how many times I said Big Mike, but I can't emphasize it enough. Big Mike.
Sometimes I dream that he is me. Got to see that's how I dream to be.
I dream I move, I dream I groove, like Mike. If I could be like Mike,
I wanna be like mine.
like Mike. If I could be like Mike,
Be like mine. Be like Mike. Oh, be like Mike.
yeah, I try. Just need to fly.
Just one day if I could be that way. I dream I move.
Dream I groove, like Mike. If I could be like Mike,
I wanna be like
like Mike. If I could be like Mike,
Oh, be like mine.
like Mike. If I could be like Mike.
Big Mike also wants us to know that people often say that the government doesn't do anything, and she laughs and dismisses and says the government does everything for us, of course, to keep us in a democracy. It's probably one of the funniest statements I've ever heard, because our government doesn't actually do anything that they're supposed to be doing, but our government does do a lot. They gaslight, they psychologically operate, they manipulate, and of course they herd the masses against one another so that they can get away with world domination in the name of democracy. But what Big Mike doesn't mention is that it's not really a democracy, it's a republic. But oh wait, I forgot, they erased that part of history and rewrote it to convince people that we're actually in a democracy. But anyway, here's Big Mike in an interview that it just conducted.
Michelle Obama appeared on the Jay Shetty On Purpose podcast. Jay Shetty's podcast is the world's #1 mental health podcast. And the interview was mainly about mental health, but then the conversation got political when she was asked by Jay about her worries. And she said, he said, what is the thing that keeps you up at night now, or what is your biggest fear after having overcome so many? And she said there's a thing such as knowing too much after being married to the president. And then she talked about wars and AI and climate change and voter turnout. And then she turned to the upcoming election and said this.
What's going to happen in this next election? I am terrified about what could possibly happen, because our leaders matter. Who we select, who speaks for us, who holds that bully pulpit. It affects us in ways that sometimes I think people take for granted. The fact that people think that government, does it really even do anything? And I'm like, oh my God, does government do everything for us? And we cannot take this democracy for granted. And sometimes I worry that we do. Those are the things that keep me up.
Oh, Mike, if I could be like Mike. So Mike is letting everybody out there know that, of course, something's happening. When these people say that they're terrified that something's happening, this is not premonition. This, of course, is a form of sigil magic. They let us know that something is going to happen. They're telling us that something's going to happen. They've been telling us that something's going to happen. And that's why all of these communist Democrats continue to talk about how the 2024 election is going to change things forever, how there's going to be some type of world event, how the elections are never going to be the same, all of these things, because, of course, this is part of their game plan. And then when it all happens, they're going to say that they warned us, right? Big Mike's going to come out on TV in 2026 or whenever it is, they turn the grid back on, and they're going to say, hey, you know what? We told you this was going to happen, but you all went and you all voted against democracy, even though this isn't a democracy. You all went and voted for Donald Trump. And because these people voted for Donald Trump, they're responsible for all the chaos that's ensued. But it couldn't be further from the truth, because Obama working with Trump, all these Democrats working with Republicans, all they want to do is blame the sabotage of the United States of America on you. That's what they're orchestrating here. So Michael's not up terrified. I mean, if Michael does get terrified, it would only be if channels like this actually get put back where they originally were, with millions of people listening, or hundreds of thousands, I should say. But if you count all the channels together, it's millions of people listening and realizing, wow, the alt-right media is a front. The left-right media is a front. All of it's a front to keep us divided. They want to keep you in political parties. So that might terrify Mike. Mike might be up thinking about what would happen if people actually united together against these wicked people and stop looking at skin color only because they're telling us to look at it, and stop looking at gender and everything else. And we all just said, you know, we're tired of being messed with. We're tired of people screwing with our lives. We're tired of people taxing us and then taking our tax money and burning it, instead of actually doing things like build roads, pave roads, do things in our towns that actually need to happen. Instead of taking so much money and lighting it on fire in Ukraine so that you could build your infrastructure smart cities over there, and of course use it to launder you know what in and out of these places via the CIA. So anyway, back to the quote from Big Mike. It's also worth noting is that how Big Mike is saying that people often dismiss what the government actually does, right? Can we laugh enough about that quote? The government does everything. The government does everything. Everything to ruin your life. That's what, I'll finish the sentence for you, Mike. Yeah, everything to screw us over and ruin our lives. And they'll say, that sounds like anarchy or something. This guy sounds like he's anti-government. Well, I'm anti both the left and the right, so you can put it however you want. Because, you know, at the end of the day, if regular civilians were running for office and not rich, wealthy elites, the structure that's in place, we might actually have a functioning government that would work. Now, in years past, we could all look back and say the American quote-unquote experiment did actually work for quite some time, despite the fact that Masons and all these people were in positions of power, but they didn't have every single post and every single corporation under their control. Now they do. Right? That's why company buyouts and all these things have happened over the years. We hear about one company, you think it's a startup merging with another. Yeah, they're pretty much forced into merging their company so that they can have control over everything, which is what they have, which is ideally control over the minds of the masses, because it's really all about mind control. So, I gotta love how Michael sits there and talks about, we need the government. The government's in control of everything, because they are. They're in control of all the problems in the world have all been created by the globalist government. And if the people realize that, if they realize that all these people on the left and the right who are talking about and saying things that make them happy or excited are really the ones who are causing all the things that are making them angry too. Right? So from Trump's standpoint, Trump's going to, everybody out there who supports him just wants him to stop, all of these monsters that are in control. They want to stop all the insanity that this government is allowing, but they don't realize that Trump's also on board with that. They want everybody to get behind him as if he's going to stop, them castrating kids and telling you what you can and cannot read children in school and the woke ideology. Trump's on board. What they want to do is make you think that he's not, so that you follow him and think that he's going to stop it, so they could lead you to a different direction. Instead of the civilians going, hey, you know what? All these rich people, nobody needs rich people running for president. Nobody needs these rich people telling us how to live. They have their money. They can go off and do what they want with their money. But they don't need to control our government, do they? No, they don't. As if this was actually a republic like it's supposed to be. Then say somebody like this guy talking right here to you could actually run for president and stop this stuff from happening. But that's not allowed. You only get on the ballot if you're one of them. Otherwise, your name gets thrown off the ballot. You only need, how much money do you need to get on each ballot? Do people realize that? How many millions of dollars you need to get on a ballot in each state? I remember when Ted Gunderson was talking about exposing the satanic cabal and all these things about, which I talk about over the website with Ted Gunderson and McMartin. And Ted wanted to get on the ballot just to make people aware of this, the stuff that I talk about here. He wanted to make people aware. And he was like, I can't afford to do it. Because you got to have, at that time, hundreds of thousands per state to run, to be on the ballot. You're not getting in a debate. You're not allowed to be there. And if you even try, someone like me, well, they'll deplatform you. They'll probably eventually kill you if you take it so far to actually try to go through with it. They'll gang stalk you. They'll use all their typical government satanic, the playbook that they use, right? Which is gang stalking, harassment, defunding, shutting off bank accounts, shutting off your electricity. These are all tactics that they use on anybody that starts to actually try to push back or go against them. So you're never going to make it anywhere, be able to go up against them. That's the point, right? That's what people need to realize with Trump and with the left. They see this stuff and they're like, Trump's talking, he's making fun of these people who are, everybody's like thinking that this is actually occurring. All these people who are pushing all this stuff with kids, they're satanic monsters. There's no doubt about it. But they're doing this stuff out in the open because they're trying to lure conservatives to vote, to show up, to support. And by voting, I mean putting your name on a ballot one way or the other so that they know who you are, who's supporting Trump, so that they can monitor and track you, of course, which is really all that voting actually is, because they know anybody voting Trump is anti-communism. So it's a herding mechanism. So anyway, we have Michael on TV, Big Michael, telling us that it can't sleep at night. And again, I mean, can anybody out there sleep when they see movies like the ones that was just produced by Michael and Barry, when they know that these people know what's coming, and then they sit on TV and they gaslight you and they gatekeep you, and it's amazing that people don't see through it. It's absolutely amazing. It's actually even more amazing that people don't realize that, well, this is Big Mike, not who you actually think, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, we're living in a world right now where we're about to find out very, very soon, too, that we could potentially have Big Mike running for office, right? They're going to tell us that Big Mike's the first female president in the United States, or first female to, I mean, it's very possible. But the irony is that it wouldn't be the first female president. It might be the other way around. Anyway, so this is Mike telling you that can't sleep at night. I had to do a video on it. I was just cracking up. How they mention it to democracy, how they tell us, if people laugh that the government's not doing anything when they do everything. And they're right. They do everything. They do everything to ruin your life, to destroy your life. They're not serving any of us. They're the ones responsible for all this chaos going on. They're the ones responsible for all the division. They're the ones responsible for all the anxiety. They're the ones responsible for all the trouble people are having paying their bills. But they want you to think it's everybody else but them. But the reality is it's just these people. And we don't even have to look at the government structure that's in place and blame that. It's just these individuals that are responsible, and they should be held responsible. But unfortunately, they won't, because the suckers out there who are under mind control, especially the ones who think they're awake, who are like, I can see, Donald Trump, I see the conspiracy. They don't realize that they're being worked just as hard as the left. I thank everybody for being here. Just wanted to do a quick video on that. God bless all of you as always, and your families.